On today's Into Your Head podcast number 702, a dog's eye view of the world, regulating wicker, bringing undercooked steaks to a blood bank, why we're proud of the Titanic, and lots more. Hello. Been a great believer in the dictum, take out this ear plunger because it's about to fall off the edge of my monitor. My monitor has a lovely little shelf at the bottom of it there. It's well designed where you can store just enough ear plungers to get you through an ear emergency. And then when they run out, you just turn around to the table behind me and grasp another pile and replenish the row. Oh, I'm never out of reach of a good ear plunger. So no, although this one is superfluous, it's going to fall off. Now, having studied time and motion studies in college to a small extent, I know that for me to turn around and put this back in the main supply behind me would be wasteful, because I'm only going to come back and get it later. So what I'll do is put it here on another part of the shelf, and it'll still be there. I'll know it's there for my use and not stupid, so we'll just replenish it there somewhere where it won't fall off. Now, how did I start this? Did I start by saying I've always been a great believer in the dictum, and then did I go on to something about earplugs, plungers? I can't remember. Anyway, whatever way I started it, it's irrelevant now. The statement is moot now because I've dealt with the situation. In fact, my ear plungers are looking very neat now, particularly neater than usual on the shelf. Not that that matters. It don't need to be neat. There's such a thing as overdoing the neatness, you know. One thing I'm never accused of lately is overdoing the neatness. I do it just around. It's like doing a good steak. You can say, oh, I've done all these steaks very well. But there'll be always someone who says, I didn't want mine done very well. I wanted my steak done with the heart still hanging out of it, pumping blood. And I can use the blood as a sauce and spray it from the ventricle onto the freaking meat, or so whatever you call it, meat flesh. Is it called meat if you haven't cooked it properly? Would you not just call it flesh? I don't know. Every man to his own taste. So I'm more of a medium person, if you ask me. If you're ever cooking me up steaks in your capacity as a chef in one of my local restaurants, then just remember that I don't want blood springing out of it all over the place at me. No, that will just serve as a reminder that it's time for me to go and donate blood, and tell you then you'll have blood on your hands in more ways than one. It'll be on my hands because I'll have failed to donate on time, but I'll have cow's blood on my hands, and then I'll turn up at the donor's place and say, oh, emergency, I haven't donated in the hall, can I donate some blood? I've got some on my hands here, but don't worry, this isn't what I'm going to offer you. I'm well aware that your standards of hygiene and precautions have gone up by far since then, so if I go wash my hands, then can you take blood off me? And they'll say, certainly sir, go in there. Here's some paper towels, please don't touch the door handle or anything else. You'll say, can I touch my hands to wash them? And they'll say, I don't know, I suppose I better ask a medic about that. Excuse me, medic, this man is wondering, he's got cow's blood on his hands and he wants to wash it off and do it hygienically the proper way, but I've told him not to touch anything like the toilet door with his hands. Now can he touch his own hands with them? And the man says, I think that's pretty much how you wash your hands, isn't it? You rub them together, you rinse off all the excess stuff, make sure it goes safely down the drain, or maybe you should, actually now you think about it, maybe I should rinse them into a medical waste bag, not down the sink. Do we want to be putting, although people do it every day when they wash off their steaks at home, they wash them over the sink and the blood goes down the sink. Well, I'm not responsible for that. I'm responsible for hygiene in here. Of blood. We're handling blood that's going to go to... I'm going to have to go and consult with my colleagues about this. Please tell the man to come back another time. And the woman says, oh, thank you very much. The doctor asks to give him a while to consider this and consult with his colleagues and come back to us another time. And you say, oh, certainly, thank you very much. That's completely understandable. But that doesn't deal with my hand situation at the moment. Should I wash them here or should I go out and wash them somewhere else? And they'll say, I've a compromise. How about you put a couple of bags over them, a couple of paper bags until you get somewhere else? You say, that's fine. Now, how do I put them on without getting the outsides of their hands dirty? Which I think you'd agree would defeat the purpose. And they say, Christ, next time will you please turn up with clean hands and don't overcomplicate this. Because while it's been nice to be getting a blood donation from you for our banks, sometimes the effort outweighs and outcosts the result. So really, that's why we don't give you a big, huge chocolate cake when you donate. We just give you a coffee and a small biscuit, because you can't have the costs outweighing the benefits. It's all about cold hard economics, I'm afraid. But no, I'll tell you what, here's a bag. I'll hang this bag here and you carefully put your hand into it, and I'll tie it closed with a long string so I don't have to touch it. I can just pull back on it, and then you do the same with the other. Now, can you manage like that? Will you be able to get out of here without killing anyone? Ho, ho, ho. And you say, I don't appreciate your sense of humour. And the woman will say, I don't appreciate your coming in here covered in animal's blood. And you say, well, I suppose we're even then. And she'll say, oh, ho, ho, that's hilarious. And you'll say, oh, I'm starting to understand your sense of humour now. It's kind of necessary in here, isn't it? With the likes of me. And she'll laugh again. And you'll say, well, don't overdo it. And a great day was had by all. We've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to. Issues that need to be addressed. Topics. Oh, topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of this calendar, this desk calendar, this neglected desk calendar. Every time I look at it, it's a month behind. I move it up a month now. Should I move it up 2 months? No, because then it'll be up to September. I'd have overcompensated then. That's so of us do. We overcompensate for... there's no point fixing something if you're going to overcompensate for it, because then you're going to go too far the other way. It's like when that fella who sailed to the edge of the world to figure out whether it was round or what. He sailed to the edge of the world. He got to what he assumed was the edge, and he said, oh, I've come too far, I better turn around and go back. And then he turned around and went back too far the other way, and he ended up going round in their circle, overcompensating so much. And then he realised the world was round, and he started looking like an idiot, looking like a fucking idiot, even though he found out the truth and proved it. But no, it's all about presentation is important. Even if you're doing something right, you need to do it in a sellable way where people won't just laugh at you when you go and publicise your results. They won't say, oh, so what happened to you? I heard you nearly sailed off the edge of the world, or what you thought was the edge of the world, and then you went back the other way to compensate, but then you went all the way around. So you're back where you had started, or back at your original destination anyway, just looking at it from another angle. Are you mentally retarded? That's what they'll say to you. And you'll say, oh, that's not a very politically correct phrase to use, especially in a radio interview. You'll say, you're going to defensive there. You say, don't we use something like educationally disadvantaged? I can't keep up with the titles. They change every year. I really think as a public service broadcaster, you should use the latest, most acceptable. Why are you calling me nuts anyways? That's your point. And the broadcaster will say, no, I'm just wondering how you got your pilot's license or your sailor's license or whatever you call it. Did you put on the application, I want to sail off the edge of I want to come so close to the edge of the world that I nearly fall off? And did they say, well, you'll need a space policy cap license for that as well, just in case, and you need to invent some sort of spacecraft? Maybe you could have that where you like where it's like one of those duck tours, those amphibious bus tours that turns from a bus into a boat. You could have one of them, except it turns from a long distance seafaring vessel into a spaceship. You might be needing it. And at this stage, you'll probably walk out of the interview, as I think is entirely understandable. Can't fault you for that. You can't be taking all this sarcasm when you're an explorer, for Christ's sake. You found the edge of the world, the first ever person to do it. You got up, you put on your trousers in the morning, and you went out, bought some tins of food with you, and you got in your vehicle, and you went to the edge of the world, and you have these people on the radio mocking you. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. No. Don't stand for that crap at all. Anyway, hello, and welcome to the show.
Hello, this is J. Edgar Case here. Whenever I am listening to fine podcasts, I tune into your head program because it's very clean.
Two dogs walk into a bar. One of the dogs goes straight up to the bar counter and says, hello, can I have a pint of your finest energy drink, please? And the man behind the bar says, certainly, sir. And what would the other gentleman there like? And the dog says, what other gentleman? And the man behind the bar says, the fella holding your lead, the blind fella there. And the dog says, oh, I'd forgotten about him. Barely notice him at all, he's so quiet. What would you like, owner? And the owner of the dog says, what do they have? I can't see anything. And the man behind the bar says, oh, Christ. And the dog says, don't worry, leave this to me. This is my job. Do you have a menu I can read out to him? Or should I just go through every shelf and see what you have? And the man behind the bar says, fucking hell. And the dog says, I know exactly the feeling, but you get used to it after a while. And the man behind the bar says, I don't want to get used to it. That's like if you go and live in hell and they say, I get used to this after a while, and you lose all interest in trying to get to somewhere better. Oh no, I don't want to get used to stuff. And the dog says, fair enough, don't. Although I can't help thinking that's a rather negative attitude you have. And the man behind the bar says, yes, indeed it is, but you're a dog. And the dog says, exactly. I can offer an alternative view on life, from a dog's eye view instead of from just another duplicate human's eye view. And the man behind the bar says, okay, what does he want? And the dog says, he wants a pint of your finest Guinness. And the man behind the bar says, is that something he saw on the shelf? And the dog says, yes, I saw a pint of your finest Guinness on the shelf. And the man behind the bar says, well, I'm saving that. I can rustle you up some fresh Guinness though. It's probably be even finer if it's fresh now that I think about it. So I can't do that, because that would mean that the pint of my finest Guinness that's on display there would no longer be a pint of my finest Guinness, and it would be misadvertising. And the dog says, what if we drink the pint of Guinness that you're going to give us? Then that one on the shelf will regain its status as your finest pint of Guinness already. In fact, once we buy it off you, it ceases to be your finest pint of Guinness. And the man behind the bar says, oh, that's very true. That's very astute. And begin to realise why you say I should have an alternative view at these things. And the dog says, exactly. Have you ever considered getting a guide dog? And the man behind the bar says, no, not that I've anything against them, but I'm not blind. I don't have any vision impairment of any sort whatsoever. And the dog says, Christ, you don't have to rub it in. And the man behind the bar says, sorry. And a great night is had by all. I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, Christ, another two dogs walk into a bar story. Well, if I were to say to you, a man walks into a bar, would you go, oh, that's very unrealistic. The man walked into a bar yesterday in another of his stories. Do men just spend all day walking into bars? Well, no, they don't. Well, no, they don't. But let's say I've done, as I have, 702 episodes of this podcast. Even if I had two men walking into a bar on separate occasions in each of those episodes, that would only be 14 instances throughout history of two men walking into a bar. I'm not saying that this is happening in real time. I'm not claiming that every frigging day as I do this is an instance of two men walking into a bar. But if you look at it realistically, 14,000 men walking into bars in pairs over the course of the hundreds of thousands of years of human history, I don't think those are unlikely figures. In fact, they're probably underlikely, which makes them unlikely, I suppose. But they're certainly not exaggerated. Certainly not exaggerated. There's more to that. So stop nitpicking is basically what you're doing here. You're picking at nits. You're like some mother who comes home from school, gets a note from the school saying, warning, there are nits in this school. First thing she does is start picking at the poor child's hair and takes out a fine comb, rubs the fine comb through them, and then gets a bottle of weed killer or wherever it is you use and drowns the child in that until it's free of all possibility of nits, and then changes them to another school to reduce the chances even more. Everything about life is reducing your chances of something happening. If I go out on the street today wearing a helmet, that may not necessarily save my life, but will decrease the chances of me becoming dead if someone happens to try to attack me with an axe to the head and doesn't have much time to finish the job properly before making their disappearance to avoid the police. So no, you make this it's a question of balance. You can cover your whole body in a suit of armor and be quite safe from that sort of thing, but it's a balance. It's no way to less quality of life as well. You balance your suit of armor with your quality, unless you happen to enjoy being in a suit of armor, in which case everybody wins. Well, you win. Every part of you wins, though. The part of you that's concerned for your safety, and the part of you that gets some sort of high out of being in a suit of armor. Lucky you, isn't it great for some? But for most of us, the world isn't like that at all. So you have to have balance. Balance and levelity. Is that what it's called? Levelity. If something is level, is it called levelity? Or is it called... levity. That's what it is. Levity. I don't know why they can't call it levelity. Maybe they can. I can. I can call it levelity. I can call it levelity till the cows come home, and anyone who doesn't like it can come up, and I'll challenge you to a duel with electronic dictionaries. We'll throw them at each other. Maybe you can find some sort of electronic dictionary app that someone spouts out a word and I spout the spelling or definition within 5 seconds, or else his app straight away beams a blue laser at me that kills me. That would be the modern version of a duel for brainiacs. People who obsess over the English language, surprised they don't obsess over other languages as well. They say, this is the proper way to, don't ruin our language, this is the proper way to spell it, and this is the proper way to use an apostrophe, and this is the proper way to pronounce it. I've then asked them something in another language to say, what the fucking hell are you talking about? And then you reply in some foreign language and they'll say, still don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Are you imitating me? Maybe you are. Maybe you're translating everything they say into a foreign language. See how long it takes them to notice it and become annoyed and slap you in the face and then shoot you in the head. I suppose it'll pass a bit of time, but you'll end up dead, which is never a good result, unless that's the desired outcome on your part, which if it is, you should go and get help with that, because that's not normal. You can get help with that sort of thing. Fight it like the plague, because the plague is just as bad. The plague was this thing that came along hundreds of years ago and infected everyone, and everyone was dead. At the same thing over here, we had a problem with the potatoes. half of us either died or emigrated to America, which was considered the same thing at the time, apparently, because when you went to America, we all started forming gangs and getting on the Titanic, presumably trying to go somewhere else. I don't know. Or am I confusing two movies? I don't know either. Did the Titanic leave out from Ireland, or did it go to Ireland? I think it was the other way around. It was definitely built here, and we're very proud of it. It was built up the other side of the border, in a place just beside the sea. The place beside the sea was designated as the place they'd build the Titanic. Built it, they did, I can tell you. They shoved bits of metal and wood or wherever they had at the time, and they stuck them all together with hammers and nails. They went hammers and nails at it, building the Titanic, and they put windows, and they put a place where you could put your car, and they put swimming pools, which turned out to be superfluous later on, but they didn't know that. Anyway, that's what happened with the Titanic, in case you're wondering. Anyway, on with the show.
Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener. Email studio@intoyourhead.com.
Support the podcastual arts at no cost to you. Just click through the Amazon link at intoyourhead.com whenever you go shopping for anything, even if you use Amazon UK or Canada. We'll take your weird foreign money here. We're not proud. Just visit intoyourhead.com and click on the appropriate Amazon banner.
Do you need glasses? You probably do. I know you don't think you do, but can you see me from where you're sitting? You probably can't. That means you need glasses. And what better way to get them than through the Into Your Head website, delivered straight from the Into Your Head website to your door, worldwide shipping, and the show makes a generous commission at no extra cost for you. Just go to intoyourhead.com, down the left, scroll along the prescription glasses, goggles for you ad, and browse for your prescription eyewear, your contact lenses, your glasses, your weird bifocals for freaks, and all the rest of it. Buy your glasses online. Into Your Head makes a generous commission at no extra cost to you. You support the podcastual arts, and as a bonus, exclusive to Into Your Head podcast supporters, you get to be able to see. Even if you don't need glasses. Just get them anyway for fun. Everyone should try, just as everyone should try a beard once in their life, everyone should try a pair of glasses. Just get some non-prescription ones, but pay for the prescription ones anyway, because those will help me earn a commission. Everyone should be able to. Everyone should check out what they look like in glasses every now and then, just as everyone should try a beard once in their lives. Everyone should try on a wheelchair once in their lives. Why not? Why discriminate against people with disabilities and say, you have to use these things that no one else has to use? We should have 20% of the community at any time. We should aim to have them all in wheelchairs, so that whatever significantly smaller percentage of them have to wear wheelchairs don't feel so left. There's a thing for you. The 2 or 3% or whatever it is of the people who have to wear wheelchairs, if we were to bring that up to 20%, you'll have some sort of a lottery, like you do when you're calling people to be in the jury. You say it's your turn to be one of the pad out the wheelchair community this year, so that 20% of the community are in wheelchairs. That way, when you go up to someone in a wheelchair, you've no idea whether they're disabled or not, so you'll treat them exactly the same as everyone else, because there's a good chance that it's going to be you one day, at least for a year, as part of your community service, or otherwise for something else. I think you should have a choice. Do you have to be on a jury, or do you have to do your year in a wheel? There's an idea for you. I may not have thought it through completely. It's all about coming up with new ideas and spitting them out, putting them down on paper, putting them down as ones and zeros. I'm not putting them out on paper here, but I'm recording them digitally, so they'll be available if anyone wants to print them out into ones and zeros. Go on to archive.org. Most of the more recent shows are copied copied onto there for prosperity. So if you're in the future here and you're listening to this in the future and you're thinking, Christ, society has really broken down, hasn't it? We need some fresh ideas. Maybe we can find them from the past. If we can find some ideas from the past that nobody bothered ever listening to, and then you go on to archive.org and you go, oh, here's a podcast from the 21st century. It looks like no one's listened to us. Maybe we can find something fresh like from that. Take a look at something new. Hopefully you stumble across this segment and you got a fresh new idea for how to deal with people who aren't in wheelchairs and fashion. Absolutely fucking fantastic. Anyway, on with the show. Monkey nuts, that's what they call them. They call them big steaming, shit-eating, piss-piling, basket coating. What the hell is a basket coating? I don't know. You'd have a coat, I suppose, made out of the same sort of basketing that you'd have in a wicker chair. I presume it's called wicker basketing. Yeah, that would be useful now that I think about it. If you're going to become a living statue and go and stand in Grafton Street for a couple of hours a week, you could make your costume out of wicker basketry. You need something that doesn't sway in the wind. There's an idea now. I'll add that to my little notebook of ideas. I think I just invented the wicker coat. A wicker coat is a sort of thing you'd only expect to find in some stupid movie, The Wicker Man or something. Presumably you have, your man out of the new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I presume, going around dressed in a wicker, dressed in wicker chairs, a few wicker baskets stuck together. But don't know, if you do this properly, you make clothes out of wicker and paint them and make them look good. It's not about just wearing the wicker, it's about making the wicker look good. Not to be confused with the wicks that you put on or is it? Is that the same sort of wick that you'd put on a candle? I hope not, because that would make them highly flammable. I know people who have wicker furniture in their house. If that's as easy to set off on fire as it is, although maybe not, it doesn't the wick on a candle blow particularly slowly. So you want it to burn slowly. So maybe that's a good thing. Just goes to show how little I know about manufacturing things to safety guidelines. I leave that to the experts. And if the experts don't know what they're doing, at least we know we've got the EU regulator going in and saying, does this comply with safety standard number FE792QO or a couple of Roman numerals? And the manufacturer will say, I don't know, but you're welcome to inspect it, seeing as that's what we pay our taxes for. And they'll say, don't be a smart horse. And you'll say, the manufacturer will say, how come you're not talking in a foreign language? And they'll say, because I'm based in Ireland, I work for the EU in Brussels, but I'm based in Ireland, so they picked me because I speak the local language. And if they want to be a smart horse, they'll say, our national official language is Irish. I demand that you talk to me in Irish. And that'll just piss them off. But they'll have to go and deal with it and get some representative who speaks Irish. I don't think that'll get you out of it. You still have to obey the rules. You're just causing trouble then. It's like a sit-down protest, or one of those protests where they do nothing and just get in the way. No, that's I call that a lazy man's protest. You might say, what about calling it a lazy man and woman's protest? That would involve being less lazy. There's an extra 3 syllables involved in that. I don't want to be a damn hypocrite. Anyway, 2 cats walk into a wicker tree factory. One of the cats goes straight up to one of the wicker trees and pees on it. And straight away a foreman comes down and says, excuse me, sir, what do you think you're doing? And the cat says, I was just trying out this wicker tree with a view to purchasing it. And the man behind the foreman desk says, sir, that's not really how things work here in the world of retail. For one thing, this is a factory, not a retail outlet. And the cat says, what, is it not a factory outlet? Is that not a thing now? I hear ads on the radio for them all the time. They say, come down to our factory outlet and we'll outlet some cheap furniture onto you. And the man says, either way, it doesn't mean you outlet some urine out onto our newly made furniture. And the cat says, I wouldn't call it furniture. It's a wicker tree, isn't it? And the man says, no, it's been made from the wood of a wicker tree, but it's been made into a tree. It's an oak tree it's a model oak tree made out of wicker. And the cat says, well, you can see how I would have come to that confusion then, wouldn't you? And the man says, you don't come to a confusion, you come to a conclusion. And the cat says, please stop correcting me on my usage of the English language. It's a fucking miracle that we're having a conversation anyway, because I can tell you, you're no Dr. Doolittle. And the man behind the wicker thing, or wherever the hell he's behind in this factory, says, I never said I was Dr. Doolittle. If I did, I wouldn't have needed to say it. I would have just had started a conversation in cat language with you. Or is that how it worked? Did Dr. Doolittle talk in cat language, or was he just talking English and magically have them understand him? I don't know. And the cat says, I don't know either. I've no experience of this mythical character, except I'm pretty sure he never existed. And the wicker man says, well, tell him to join the club, because we're just in a story to fill in the last couple of minutes of a podcast. And they all laugh their heads off. One of them literally, because he's just a wicker man. He's just a wicker man made of wicker. He doesn't even work there. The cats have been talking to a wicker dummy that's sitting there for some reason. For some reason they've made a sculpture of a man out of wicker, and they're trying to sell it to someone here in a country where it rains every day. You're not going to put it out in their garden. You're not going to put it indoors because it's going to look stupid. But no, they're confident they're going to sell it. Or maybe they're not. Maybe it's been sitting there on display for years. Either way, no staff has turned up yet. So the cat says, if he's not real, and clearly they're not going to like the fact that I've pissed here, maybe we should go now while the going's good. And the two cats agree, and they run out, and a great night is had by all. The end.
You've been listening to Neal tell you stories about cats, probably. Neal talks a lot about cats. Send your topic suggestions to studio@intoyourhead.com.